Two Australians, one earns $80,000 a year and feels like they are just getting by. The other earns $250,000 and also feels like they are just getting by. Same feeling. Very different numbers. And if you ask both of them when they will finally feel wealthy, both say the same thing. Not quite yet. Maybe when the next raise comes, or the house is paid off, or when things settle down a little. This video is about why the feeling does not arrive. 3 psychological patterns most Australians run on autopilot. Recognizing them is the first step. Because the feeling most Australians are chasing through income and possessions is available much earlier than most people think, and it has almost nothing to do with the number. When most Australians receive their first significant pay rise, there is a moment, usually about a week, where the income feels genuinely different. The account looks different. Things feel possible that did not feel possible before. Then the new normal arrives. The better suburb comes with higher rent. The car gets upgraded. The restaurants that felt like a treat become ordinary. Within a year, the same income that felt significant feels like the baseline, and the baseline never feels like enough. The pay rise hits on Thursday. By Saturday, the new gym membership, the streaming upgrade, and the better coffee subscription are already confirmed. The net change to the savings account? 0. The net change to the monthly expenses? Exactly the size of the pay rise. This is called hedonic adaptation, the tendency to return to a stable baseline regardless of what changes externally. Designed for survival? Expensive in a wealth-building context. The hedonic treadmill is not a character flaw and it is not unique to you. It is universal. The question is not how to get off it. The question is whether you can redirect a portion of each income increase before the treadmill claims it. The second reason is that we measure wealth relative to the people around us. When the income rises and the suburb upgrades, the comparison group upgrades automatically. New colleagues earn more. New neighbours drive better cars. The neighbours buy a new car, you notice. The neighbours across the road notice. The neighbours on the left notice. Nobody says anything. Everybody's running the numbers. Humans compare upward, measuring against those with slightly more, never slightly less. A household at $150,000, where $300,000 is common, feels less wealthy than $100,000 where $60,000 is common. The comparison group is everything. Social media amplified this by several orders of magnitude. The comparison group is no longer the street or the suburb. It is the entire curated highlight reel of everyone the algorithm considers relevant, which skews heavily toward the visible, the aspirational, and the expensive. The solution is not to stop comparing. That is not psychologically possible. It is to choose the comparison group deliberately, because the comparison group you absorb defines the baseline that every income gets measured against. Ask at $60,000 when they will feel comfortable. The answer is $80,000. At $80,000, it is $100,000. At $100,000, it is $130,000. The finish line is always approximately 20% ahead of wherever you are standing, and it moves. This is not ingratitude. It is the motivational system doing exactly what it was built to do, keeping you moving forward. But in a financial context, a finish line that moves every time you approach it means the feeling of enough never quite arrives. The tax refund arrives. It feels like free money, even though it was your money the entire time, and the government was borrowing it at 0% interest. The $2,000 is spent in approximately 4 days on something that felt urgent in April and will be completely forgotten by August. Waiting to feel wealthy is like waiting to feel full while continuously moving the plate further away. The action and the feeling are disconnected because the feeling was never attached to the number. It was attached to something entirely different. And that something is what the rest of this video is about. Which of these 3 patterns do you recognize in yourself? The hedonic treadmill, the comparison group, or the moving finish line? Drop it in the comments. Genuinely curious how universal this is. The word that changes more outcomes than any strategy is one most Australians have never applied to their own life. Enough. Not as a limit. As a deliberate decision about what a good life actually costs. Without defining enough, the lifestyle expands to fill every dollar of every raise, automatically and invisibly. The treadmill claims it before the savings account ever sees it. The item is 30% off. It was not on the shopping list. It was not needed before the sale. But the saving feels completely real, even though the spending was 0 before and is now $140. The brain counts the $60 saving and files the purchase as financially responsible. Defining enough is not about limits or sacrifice. It is about knowing, in dollar terms, what a good life costs, and redirecting everything above that number toward the thing that actually produces the feeling. Because that thing is not a balance on a screen. It is not the next income milestone. It is freedom. The most consistent finding is that what people actually want is not the money. It is what the money enables. The ability to choose how they spend their time. The ability to say no to what drains them. A person with $400,000 in a diversified ETF and a paid off modest home has something that a person with a $1.2 million home and $40,000 in savings does not. Both look similar from the outside. One has options, the other has the appearance of them. The luxury purchase arrives. The feeling lasts approximately 11 days. Then it becomes part of the room. Then it becomes something that needs to be cleaned. Then it becomes something that would cost money to replace if it broke. The feeling the purchase was supposed to produce has moved somewhere else. True wealth is not what you own. It is what you can afford to ignore. The paid-off car you chose to keep. The Sunday afternoon that belongs entirely to you. The Monday you took off because you wanted to, not because you had annual leave left over. The feeling is built not by earning more, but by needing less than you earn, consistently for long enough. The gap between what life costs and what life produces is where the feeling lives. Stay with me. The section on what actually creates the feeling is coming up, and it is more practical than most people expect. Research on income and well-being consistently shows that beyond approximately $100,000 to $120,000 in the Australian context, additional income has a significantly diminishing effect on day-to-day emotional well-being. More money helps, but less than expected, and less than smaller amounts helped earlier in the journey. What correlates more strongly? Control over your time, a gap between earning and spending, relationships that do not require money to maintain, and knowing an unexpected expense would not collapse the month. A household earning $80,000 with a 15% savings rate and low fixed costs can feel genuinely wealthier, in the psychological sense, than a household earning $200,000 with a zero savings rate and high fixed costs. The feeling is a product of the gap, not the number. The free compound calculator in the description shows what the gap produces over time. What it cannot show is how much lighter the month feels when the gap exists, and how much heavier it feels when it does not. The shift is psychological rather than income-based. It happens when the question changes from, how do I earn more, to what does enough actually cost? And am I building the gap? 3 things. Define enough in dollar terms. Before the next raise arrives. Choose your comparison group deliberately, and build the gap between what you earn and what enough costs, because the feeling lives in the gap. The free compound calculator in the description shows what even a small consistent gap produces over time, worth 5 minutes to run your own numbers. The previous videos on the cost of waiting and the first $100,000 go deeper on the practical side of building the gap. Both linked below. Subscribe for a new video every week. Most Australians are waiting to feel wealthy. Waiting for a number that keeps moving, in a comparison group that keeps upgrading. The feeling is not in the number. It never was. It is in the gap. The deliberate, quiet, growing gap between what life costs and what life produces. Build the gap. The feeling follows. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.